since. Today, Jack and Lee will be giving us a very informative presentation on how to avoid coronavirus scams. Since scammers look to capitalize on the news of the moment, the COVID-19 pandemic presents the perfect opportunity for them to engage with you. COVID-19 is still a relatively new topic for us all, which is why they are going to help us understand some of the most common types of scams in which they will engage right now. Jack and Lee presented at the Gardens at Town Square 2 years ago, and we are pleased to welcome them back today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter those in the chat. Jack and Lee, thank you for joining us, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. We are very happy to be here with you today. And as Juliana mentioned, the pandemic, the advent of the pandemic has really pulled out all of the scam artists. They've all come out of the woodwork because one of the things that a scam artist really plans on is working your emotions. He wants to get you so emotional that you are not really thinking. So while we were already kind of worried and uptight about the coronavirus, this is a good time for them to try to get to you and to get to your money more directly. So keep in mind, because as we talk about these different scams, keep in mind the emotions that the scam artist might be trying to use. Now, there have been some statistics done, and they find that fear is by far the most effective. If the con artist can make you afraid of something, then you will respond without thinking about it. The second thing that the con artist works on is giving you some kind of a bargain, some kind of some kind of wealth that comes with it that you wouldn't have ordinarily. And people are worried about money. So if they hear an opportunity, that's something that triggers their interest, but you need to be careful. And the third one is kind of a relationship thing. They try to tug at your heartstrings, and it might be about animals or it might be about people, just actually building some kind of rapport with you so that you trust them enough that you will give them money. So that's kind of the background of this. And as we talk about these different facts today, think about how it relates to those things. Now, the whole concept of scamming is out of control. As of the 17th, which was yesterday when I looked for these statistics, there had already been just under 252,000 reports. 252,000 reports that went to the Federal Trade Commission. And connected with those was almost $184 million in loss. And predominantly, those losses have been as a result of online shopping. So we're going to talk more about that. Let's go to the next screen, please. And right now, you need to understand that in recent months, hundreds of bogus websites have been pulled down. There have been many, many companies that have gotten warnings because they are trying to sell unapproved products. They don't tell you that. They just tell you they're selling you a mask or a hand sanitizer or whatever it is, but they don't tell you that it hasn't been approved. So if you order it, you're basically paying for junk. There has also been a tremendous amount of phantom goods. They sell you something, they take your money, but you never get anything because they don't have anything to sell. So you need to be aware of all of these different things. Now, and then there's also the issue of price gouging. I think in the last 9 months, we have all seen prices inch upward on some products, and they have jumped upwards on others. So you need to be careful in that regard as well. But another thing linked to all of this is your credit card or debit card, whichever you are using. It's online shopping. We are not getting out, so we're doing it online. And I'm hoping that you are using a credit card, not a debit card. The laws that protect you around a credit card are far more strict, and it makes it safer for you. If you're using a debit card, and we at AARP recommend that you not use a debit card, the scammer can not only drain your account, but he could possibly get into your other accounts that are linked to that. So what we encourage you to do is, if you need to make a purchase, do it with a credit card. And what we also ask that you do is that you set up a separate credit card. If you've got more than one credit card, keep the one credit card that you use for important payments. If it's your house payment or your insurance payment or car payment, keep that separate from the card that you use for online purchases. That way, if you get into a situation where somebody has gotten that credit card number and they're charging against that credit card number and they keep doing it, the only way you're going to stop it is to cancel that card. But if you cancel that card and it's the same one that has your house payment on it, you're going to have more problems. So keep in mind credit card and separate credit card for online purchases. Now, contact tracing is going to be more important now as the virus has just exploded exponentially. But you need to make sure that the contact tracing that you're participating in is legitimate. So check the credentials of the people who are asking the questions of you. And make sure if you are involved with contact tracing, keep in mind they will never ask you for any financial information. A legitimate contact tracer will never ask you for financial information. And then there's an issue of pop-up testing. And though I haven't seen that, one of our colleagues said that a few weeks ago, as she was driving from one place to another, she passed a school, and there on the parking lot of the school was a tent that said pop-up testing. Now, if there's really legitimate testing, which there is going on, it's going to be connected with a legitimate medical organization. And that's what you need to be sure of, that if you're going to participate in any of the testing, make sure it is connected with a legitimate medical organization. And if you have any questions, call and ask your doctor. Moving on to the next item, you could be getting lots of ads or messages that are touting treatments and cures and vaccines right now. There might even be some things on the shelves at the store. I don't know which ones are really legitimate. A lot of them are not. That I am assured of. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to be very wary of anyone who sends you an email or sends you a text, particularly a text. Don't click on what they say until you've checked out that that is legitimate. But I would encourage you to check with your doctor before you participate in any of those things to make sure they're legitimate. And if you get a letter in the mail that says, this is mandatory testing and you must do 1, 2, 3, 4, as of this moment, there is no mandatory testing. So if you get any kind of messages like that, hang up if they're on the phone, delete them if they're a text, and delete it if it's an email. Now, in terms of at-home testing, This is something that's really brand new. As of this morning, and I took this off of the internet this morning, and I'm going to read it to you so that I don't get any of the words out of order or give you an incorrect message. But as of this morning, the Associated Press says, U.S. regulators on Tuesday allowed emergency use of the first rapid coronavirus test that can be performed and developed entirely at home. The announcement by the Food and Drug Administration represents an important step in the U.S. efforts to expand testing options for COVID-19 beyond healthcare facilities and testing sites. However, the test will require a prescription, and that will no doubt limit its initial use. So keep that in mind. Stay tuned to the latest in terms of what's going on. And even if you get a message that says it's from a federal agency, don't believe the telephone number or the email address that they give you. Look it up and see if it's really legitimate before you do anything. Again, everything is moving very rapidly on this, but again, think carefully and check with people that are authorities on the subject. So keep in mind, let's go to the next chart, that you need to carefully consider any treatments, cures, or vaccines. If you've got a question, if you're interested in taking it and you're ready to go, check with your doctor first and make sure that the one you're taking is indeed the legitimate one. And listen to your doctor or your trusted organization. Again, please be aware of scare tactics or special offers. That's what I mentioned to you earlier on. I got something from the credit union where my husband and I, we were both employed by the same company and we're both retirees of the same company. And they were quoting in their book a case where a caller was supposedly from Medicaid and told the victim that if they did not agree to purchase this product they were selling, they would lose their insurance. So the person said, okay, send it to me. Well, they never got anything. So,
but they paid for it.
But they paid for it. They paid for it. So the con artist got the money. So again, please be aware of all of that and don't give out personal information. Personal information is your social security number. That's very clear. Your Medicare number. Now, especially now, since it's still open enrollment for Medicare, there have been scams along those lines too. And people are calling to say, we're verifying this. We need to know what your Medicare number is. Do not give your Medicare number to anyone on the phone unless you initiated the call. If you are calling Medicare and you know you're calling the Medicare number because you looked it up and you're talking about your situation, then it would be safe. But otherwise, don't share that information. Banking information should be kept silent and quiet and under wraps. And another thing to keep in mind is you shouldn't give out your date of birth. That's an easy thing for people to check on, and you don't want to make that readily available. And family family members, frequently they ask for identification of your mother's maiden name. So you need to be careful about how much information you divulge about your family, and certainly don't give out your insurance information. With those pop-up testing units, I think that's one of the things they were going after. They wanted your insurance number, and then they could sell that insurance number to somebody else who would then be seeking medical care under your policy, and you don't want that to happen. So keep all of that in mind. And then let's talk about what actually happens with the contact tracing. And as you look here at this diagram, you start at the very top at number 1. If as soon as someone has the symptoms, they then immediately go into step 2 and 3. They are tested and they are isolated quickly. Now, let's assume that John Smith is my neighbor, and I was at the mailbox, well, we've got like a rack of mailboxes. So let's assume that I was there with my neighbor, and this morning he called me to tell me that he was sick, and they're pretty sure that it's coronavirus. He would have been asked, as soon as he was diagnosed, he would have asked, who were you in contact with for the last 24 hours? I'm not sure the length of time, but who were you with recently? And he would then say he was with me at the mailbox, and he named any other people that he was close to. Now, when you talk about the timing, you have to be within 6 feet of him for 10 minutes or more. And let's say that we were. So he would give my name to them. They would contact me, which would be step 5. And then they would put me into the same cycle. As soon as I was identified, I'd be quarantined, then I would be tested and isolated, and then they would ask me, who was I in contact with? And the method to the madness of all of that is to contain it. So as soon as you know, you can isolate yourself and not spread it to a lot of other people. And we shouldn't have been at the mailbox without masks, and we shouldn't have been that close together, but I had to use it as an example. But keep in mind that when these people call you to do the contact tracing, they will ask your date of birth, they will ask your address, and they will ask race or ethnicity. And they need that information for their statistics. They will never ask for social security number, for financial information, marital status, or immigration status. So if you get to anything like that, where they ask you questions that are that personal, stop the interview, no matter how it goes. So Jack, what else is going on with the coronavirus?
Well, let's go to the next slide and I'll start telling you. Okay, this talks about the stimulus payment scams. However, we don't know the status. Congress and the Senate and the House are debating between one another of if and when we're going to get another stimulus payment and how much it's going to be. I'm pretty certain we're going to get it, but I'm not a real maven in this situation. So what I'm talking about really relates to the previous stimulus payment. And we assume if we do get another one, it'll be similar to the scam artists will be acting in a very similar fashion to what they did before. And primarily the caution, you may be contacted by phone or text or email with an offer to help speed up the payment. There is no way you can speed up the payment. So any one of that is going to be definitely going to be a scam. And they may, whoever contacts you, whatever scammer, may request for information you send for them to send you a check. This is assuming you wouldn't be getting it on direct deposit because they're relating to your previous year's tax return, where the IRS already has that information. So what may happen is that they're going to claim to be a government agency or something. And weird enough, the IRS on the previous stimulus actually did send some debit cards which I'm very surprised they would do something like that, because most people thought it was a scam, tore it up and threw it away. In this case, it actually was a true card. Now, what you can do to check on if we do get another stimulus, and it could be a card, don't throw it away, check it out first. And the way you do that, there is a telephone number that will be given to you on your handout. I'll just mention it here. It's the only place you should call to check on any stimulus payment. It's the IRS number, and it's 800-829-1954. You will be given that number on your handout later on. Next chart, please. At the same time, anytime there is a pandemic, which we're not going to have another one of those, or any other kind of tragedy like an earthquake or a hurricane, something like that, you're going to get calls from charities. Many cases they'll be true. There could be emails, text, or in the mail. Normally they will be in the mail. However, the scammers know all about this, and they're going to tug at your heartstrings and go after you because, you know, we all want to give. We want to be generous in cases where people are really hurting. However, these guys will be using high pressure techniques, and they may use names of charities that are fake charities that are similar to the real ones, or they could use the real name, however, give you a different address to send to. And they're all going to ask for money, but many of them will probably ask for it as Bitcoin or as gift cards, or to be e-file, or to be wired to them. And anything like that is going to be a sign that you should be very wary. Always check out, never check if it's an email or a text, never click on any link in that email. It could go anywhere. You've got to be very careful. For just a few bucks, these scammers can buy software that looks like you're sending it to a legitimate place, but it really isn't. It's going to them. And that money is virtually gone. We like to always check separately on the particular charity. And there's two places to check. One is the Secretary of State, and that is www.sos.washington.wa.gov and /charities. Now these will be given to you on a handout, so you don't have to write that down. The place I like to check, because it's more comprehensive, is www.charitynavigator.org, because they tell you, they relate it. First of all, they'll tell you if it's a legitimate charity. They'll give you the correct address and telephone number. They will also tell you how much of the money that you're giving actually goes to the cause, how much is going to their overhead, how much the president or the CEO of that particular charity is actually making as a salary. They'll tell you if they're selling your name or giving your name to other charities or to whoever. So we like really to check everything out on charitynavigator.org. Next chart, please. There are many other scams during this COVID that have a COVID twist. Many are related to employment because so many people have lost their job. There are many, many employment scams, and be very skeptical of any that sound too good to be true, because they probably are. And most of them, I was originally going to say, you know, ones that work from home seem to be the illegitimate. However, in this day and age, we all seem to be working from home, and even the major companies. So that's no longer necessarily a flag. There's loan, debt, consolidation scams, student loan scams, because people are hurting financially and they are really jumping at any opportunity to get money. Anyone that comes to you unsolicited, be very leery of. Check all of them out and please seek financial assistance from trusted sources, major companies that you know about. Avoid unsolicited scams. Now, home cleaning and air duct replacement. These don't necessarily apply to you, but your relatives and your friends, you may mention this to them, and I'll just touch on it briefly. They're claiming special detergents that kill the virus. The government has issued a list, and you can find it on most of the news stations. Don't go on social media to look for it. There's so many rumors on that. Go to trusted sources like the major newspapers and the major networks to check on it. You may need your friends may need their ducts replaced. Probably not. It doesn't hurt to have them cleaned. But also, in any case, for your friends who are still in their homes, before they hire anybody, check them out thoroughly, get multiple bids, and never give all the money up front for anything that you have done around your house. These people can disappear as fast as they showed up and as fast as they contacted you. Another, extortion blackmail. Scammers may contact you and give you a password of yours and claim they got it off your stuff and threaten you with that you've been going to sites that you shouldn't have been going to. Some of these adult sites that you probably don't want to be associated with. They probably have not, believe me. They got your password because of a security breach at a place like Target or somewhere else that's recently had security breaches. Don't fall for that scam, and just, first of all, keep changing your passwords and don't use, especially on your financial networks, your banks and your credit unions and your bill paying places, use separate passwords for each one of those. And be very leery. They're not going to do anything, believe me. They bought your password with maybe hundreds and thousands of others at some break. Now, Lee's going to talk about romance scams because she's had a friend who is involved in one of these.
Yes, and I'm having a little bit of a problem with the screen here. Bear with me for a moment. Oh, that's not going to work.
Turn just on you.
There, I think that's better. Okay, sorry about that. If you remember at the beginning, I said to you that the scam artist works on fear or a wonderful bargain, a wonderful financial opportunity. And the third thing is he works on, tugging at your heartstrings. And unfortunately, one of the things that they do is, and it's predominantly men who prey upon women, though it's not uniquely that way. And what they do is they find a link. You are profiled. That means they find out something about you that's common information. And that information might be your religious affiliation. It might be even your political affiliation. It might be that you've got pets or you've got hobbies, you're a skier, whatever the link is. They find a way to make a contact with you based on that commonality, and they build a rapport. It's not a quick thing like a lot of these other scams we've been talking about. It's not a quick, I'm calling you and I'm selling you this and I want the money, or, if you don't give me the money, we're going to come after you. It's a long thing. You like this thing, you like this point of interest, let's talk about it. And then again, a week later, there's another contact. And over time, the person builds rapport. Now, unfortunately, because of the way the world statistics are, there are a whole lot more women, particularly senior women, who are living alone. So they are prey. They are lonely, so that when they get a call from somebody, they're eager to talk to this person. They're happy to have the connection. And this person builds relationship and builds trust over a period of time, and eventually gets to a point where I would really like to come and visit you, but my truck broke down and I need $500 to repair the engine, but I don't have it right now because of some sad tale of woe. Well, there's this rapport. You're a friend now and you can afford that money. Well, I'll loan you the money. Oh, no. I can't take the money. And see, that builds trust. See, he didn't want to take the money from me. Well, maybe I will. This time I will. Okay. Or maybe he turns it down altogether. And then a week or two later, there's some other thing. And this time when she offers to give him money, he accepts it. And that can go on. And meanwhile, they never meet because there's always a story why they can't meet. And the person that I knew about that was victimized lived here on the East Side somewhere. And the woman was convinced that he lived in Bellevue because she said he has a Bellevue telephone number. Well, scam artists can buy software for as little as $7 or $8 that will allow them to set up their phone so it has whatever telephone number and whatever name they want. And she did not understand why he kept putting off meeting her when he lived so close. But this unfortunate person went as far as to borrow money and give to him, and it was all down the tubes. So this is something that's very near and dear to me. And I'm hoping that you will share this with every female you know that's over the age of 15, because I think it's really important. It is that same kind of mentality where some of these perverts go after children. They build a rapport, they build a relationship, but specifically with this romance scam, it's tugging at the emotional strings of some individual, and they take them for the money, and it's not only the loss of the money, but it's the loss of dignity. So we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, puppy scams. I should have done that first and let her finish with the other. Puppy scams, everybody's lonely during this COVID thing, and having a pet is very, very good. But puppies are one of the things that a lot of people now are buying over the internet, and I don't know why. I would never buy a dog unless I actually saw it myself, but people are doing it, and they're ordering, sending money, and in most cases, no puppy ever existed. What they saw was, they saw puppies, but they weren't for sale really. So be careful and stay away from that, and let everybody know what's going on. Let your friends know what's going on. Next slide. Okay, these are generalized tips, and like we've said before, protect your personal information and especially your financial information. I never answer my telephone. We don't have a landline. Lee and I each have separate telephone lines, but I never answer it unless I know who is calling. Now, I'm fortunate. I still have my cell phone, same number I had when we lived in Southern California. So I'm getting so many calls from the San Fernando Valley, which is the same 3 digits, prefix that I have. And I have no idea who they are. I don't answer them. Sometimes they leave a message. And what I'm saying is, even if you're local, if you don't know who's calling, let it go to the answering machine or let it go to voicemail, unless, of course, you've recently called someone and are expecting a call back from them. You don't know their number, so of course you have to answer it. But just don't be polite. We were brought up in our day and age to be polite to everybody. Don't be polite. You have my permission to hang up on them. And you can just say, sorry, don't have time now, goodbye. Do something like that, or come up with a script of something to say. And if it's important, they will call you back. And one other thing is when someone calls and they happen to know, they'll say, is this Jack? I never say yes. I'll say, who's calling? If I were to say yes, they could be recording me, and I end up later on, hold on, let me lower this. Well,
Okay.
you can almost see me.
There.
I never say yes because they could be recording me and I could find out I just bought a new refrigerator and they've got proof because when they ask me, you sure you want to buy this? They've got me recorded saying yes. So that's a word not to use unless you know exactly who you're speaking to. Okay, don't talk to strangers on social media. If you wouldn't invite them into your house, why would you be talking to them then? Never send them money, obviously, especially people who want prepaid debit cards or something like that, or like I said before, any of the other means of a gift card or money to be wired. That's a sure sign of something is wrong. And use your gut feel, engage your inner skeptic. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And share your story with other people. Now, do research on anything that someone's trying to sell you, for instance, over the phone. Social media is not a place to gather your information. There are so many rumors being spread on that, and it's not necessarily intentional rumors, but people just like to believe what other people are saying, and they spread it without thoroughly checking. Go to a legitimate source to check your information. And if for any reason you have been scammed or you've been approached about being scammed, share your story with friends and relatives and everyone around you. And also report any scam to the Federal Trade Commission. That's ftc.gov/complaint. They need to know the statistics of what's going on and what's going on in your particular neighborhood. Next chart, please. Okay. Washington has an excellent site to get the information on all matters, not only related to the coronavirus, but to everything. And we have it as, well, the coronavirus one, yeah, is the first two. Coronavirus.wa.gov, or call that telephone number. Now that number is available Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, it's available 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's one of the major places you should go to know what's going on around here. And also, the only place that you can check for the stimulus check, if we get another one, is www.irs.gov. Again, that's the best place. Now, I don't know if we've talked on other presentations about where you can sign up to get delivery through the post office for any mail you're getting. And that's shown on the screen as informed delivery. There's two D's, .usps.com. Is that .com or .gov?
That's a good question.
I didn't get a chance to check this out before.
I think
it may be .gov. So we'll check that up and get back to you and leave a message, and it'll be given to you later on. But be careful of that one. I'm sorry I didn't check this sooner. Okay.
Hey,
and
Lee and
Sharon-
Jack.
Yes.
I just checked now and it is .com.
Oh,
It is
thank you,
.com?
Ashley. Yeah.
That
Yes.
surprises me, but
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Share the word, stay safe. And the AARP Speakers Bureau is shown on the screen where that is. That is the best place probably to check what's going on all scams at the present time. Thank you.
Okay. We have run over. I apologize for that, but we had a lot of information to share with you. Before we wrap it totally, there are 2 sheets that you will be getting. One of them is a sheet of just information about contacts that you can make, places where you can go to get good information. And it includes just about everything that we talked about or made reference to in the presentation today. The second sheet is a sheet with instructions on how to freeze your credit. And that's very important, especially now during the COVID. If you were to go and make a purchase that, let's assume that you wanted to buy a new bed, and the bed is going to cost $1,000 and you don't want to take it out of your bank account now, you want to buy it on time. In order to do that, the company you're buying it from is going to check your credit to see if you're worthy of that loan. So they go out to the credit union, to the the credit companies, and they say, okay, here is John Smith, and he's looking to buy something for $1,000. What is his credit rating? How does he stand in terms of credit? Well, if they've got your social security number to go in there or access to that, they can see whether you have good credit or not. But if it's a scammer who has gotten a hold of that number and the scammer wants to go buy that bed, you want to block it. So if your credit report is frozen, no information will be given, and that bed cannot be purchased. So in order to protect yourself from somebody else using your credit, your social security number to make big purchases, you need to lock your credit. And the sheet has step-by-step instructions, and it has the telephone numbers for all of the credit information services. So please take care of that to save yourself a lot of aggravation.
Tell your friends.
And also, with all of the information that we've shared with you today, please share the information with family and friends. The more we get the word out, the better off we're going to be. Now, if you have a problem, or if you know of somebody who has a problem or even suspects there is a fraudulent problem, we invite you to call the AARP Fraud Fighter Call Center. The call center number is at the bottom of this screen. It will be the first number at the top of the information sheet that you get. People there will help walk you through what you need to do. And hopefully you're just calling for an inquiry. But if you're calling because there has been something that has happened, here's where you will get some help. And I also want to point out to you that there are other ways to contact AARP. You do not need to be an AARP member to utilize the wonderful website that AARP has. There's lots of information out there about COVID. You can sign up for the Call Watch network, and you can click on it and sign up for it, and you can get reports every other week about what kind of criminal or fraudulent activity is going on in your neighborhood. And here are other ways that you can contact us, and it's going to be on the handouts that you get. I know that we've had a lot of information that we have shared with you today. I hope that it has been helpful. I hope you will remember it, and I hope you will share it with everyone you know, because we all want to get through these tough times together. Are there any questions at this point? Have there been any questions that have come across the chat?
I haven't seen any questions come up, but if you all have any questions now, feel free to put them into the chat so that they all have a chance to answer. If we don't have any questions, thank you, Lee and Jack, for this presentation, and thank you all for joining us today for this webinar. Very shortly, I will be sending over that additional information that pairs well with this presentation. I will also be sending over a follow-up survey to you all. We encourage you to fill this out so we can hear some of your thoughts and feedback. And please feel free to contact us at the Gardens at Town Square if you would like to learn more about our community. Right now, we have some apartments with very unique floor plans that have become available, including a beautiful 3-bedroom option. If you would like a video tour or floor plan of one of these options, please feel free to reach out to either I or Joan, our Community Relations Director, at our phone number, that is 425-688-1900. We would love to stay connected. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.